Hello and welcome to Fantasy Football by Ben. Today I'll be talking about my Week 14 wide receiver and tight end rankings. Alright, so this week for number one, and I had him at number one last week, and probably the week before that, and quite possibly the week before that, Davante Adams. Davante Adams is going against the Lions this week. The Lions have not been very good against wide receivers this year, and the first time they played the Lions, Davante got hurt, so hopefully it doesn't happen again, and he has a big day going up against Detroit, who have not been very good against outside receivers, or any receivers to be honest, this season. At number two, I have Tyreek Hill at Dolphins. Dolphins have pretty good corners, but I do think that Tyreek Hill will be a really valuable player this week. I do think that the Dolphins defense is pretty underrated, and Xavier Howard might have a good game against him, but I do think that Tyreek Hill is someone that you don't sit. At number three, I have DK Metcalf versus the Jets. Jets are horrible against wide receivers, and DK Metcalf has been having a great year. And so DK Metcalf is another guy you just don't sit, and this could be a really big week for DK Metcalf in Week 14 against the Jets. At number four, I have AJ Brown at Jaguars. AJ Brown's dealing with an ankle injury. He had it in the second quarter, but I hope he plays. If he doesn't play, obviously, then that means Corey Davis moves up, because if you didn't know, that's my bold prediction of the week, was that he'd finish as a top 10 wide receiver. A.J. Brown anyways, though, he is dealing with an ankle injury, but if he plays, obviously A.J. Brown's a must start every week, and so this could be a really big week for A.J. Brown if he plays. At number five, I have Keenan Allen versus the Falcons. Falcons have horrible corners. They haven't been very good this year. They're allowing the most passing yards per game. Keenan Allen's been Justin Herbert's favorite target this year, so I do think that that's really going to help his case. And going up against a defense that doesn't really do very well against receivers, I do think that Keenan Allen is due for a big game this week. At number six this week, I have Allen Robinson versus the Texans. Texans have been horrible against the pass. Actually, they've been worse against the run, though. But I do think that Allen Robinson with Mitchell Trubisky has been a pretty good duo, and so I do think that this could be a really good game for Allen Robinson. I have him at number six this week, going up against the Houston Texans, who are very bad against pass catchers. Number seven, I have Calvin Ridley at Chargers. Chargers don't have a really designated corner to covering a best receiver, which in that case would probably be covering Julio. But I do think Calvin Ridley is Matt Ryan's red zone guy, and so this could be a really big week for Calvin Ridley. I expect this game to be a pretty high scoring game. Not really defensive minded teams, I guess I should say, but so I do think that this could be a really high scoring game. At number eight, I have Stefon Diggs versus the Steelers. The only concern that I have for Stefon Diggs is that Josh Allen won't have enough time to get the ball out to him, but I do think that Stefon Diggs will have a great week anyways, and so I have Stefon Diggs at 8 this week. I think he's a solid play. If you have him, he's pretty much a must start, so put him in your lineup. At number 9, I have Julio Jones, who's going up against the Chargers as well, just like Calvin Ridley, his teammate. And so, like I was saying with the best corner on the Chargers covering the best receiver, I do think that they would probably cover Julio Jones. But, Julio Jones has proven in the past that he can beat solo coverage or even double coverage. And so I do think that Julio Jones is a guy you start every week anyways also. At number 10, I have DeAndre Hopkins at Giants. Only reason I have DeAndre Hopkins down so far is because he's going to be covered by James Bradbury, who's one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the league right now, man on man. And, DeAndre Hopkins has been playing pretty well. Last week, or he's had 3 straight weeks of 5 for 50, but last week he had a touchdown, so that helped his point total. So DeAndre Hopkins had a pretty good week last week. But I think he could probably do it again. But I do think that it's going to be a tougher matchup this week for him. I have him at number 10 this week. At number 11, I have Adam Thielen against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers. And so I do think this is going to be a tougher matchup for Adam Thielen. But Adam Thielen's a guy you just don't sit. And this could be a really big week for him. You never know, because he is their red zone guy. And so I do like Adam Thielen this week. I have him at number 11. At number 12, I have Tyler Lockett versus the Jets. Like I was saying with DK Metcalf, the Jets are horrible against the pass, and how do you beat the Jets? They have a pretty solid run defense. You beat the Jets by passing the ball, and so I do think this could be a really, really big week for Russell Wilson, and then also that would lead towards Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf having a really big week, and possibly Chris Carson. So I do like Tyler Lockett's matchup this week. I have him at number 12. At number 13, I have Justin Jefferson at Buccaneers. I do think this is going to be a tough matchup, like I was saying with Adam Thielen. And Jefferson definitely gets more yards than Thielen, but he doesn't score as many touchdowns. And so I do think this could be a really big game for Justin Jefferson. If he beats a corner deep, I think this could be a really good game for Justin Jefferson. I have at number 13. At number 14, I have Michael Thomas versus the Eagles. He'll probably be covered by Darius Slay. And Darius Slay the last 2 weeks has gotten DK Metcalf 80 yards on him, and then last week Davante Adams 120 yards on him. So, I mean, Darius Slay's had 2 tough matchups in a row, and then he's got Michael Thomas this week. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Darius Slay, but I have Michael Thomas at 14. Don't know what to expect out of him. I think he's going to have a good week, but I have him at number 14. At number 15, I have Chris Godwin versus the Vikings. Vikings have a pretty stout defense, and their top corner is pretty good. He's a rookie, but I do think that he's been pretty solid this year. But Chris Godwin plays out of slot, and so he won't be covered by that rookie. And so I do think that Chris Godwin's going to have a big week this week, and I like his matchup against the Vikings this week. At number 16, I have Terry McLaurin at 49ers. I mean, Terry McLaurin's been pretty solid, and last week was not a very good week, but that's only like 1 out of the 13 weeks they've already played, or 1 out of the 12 weeks they've already played. And so I do think that this could be a good week for Terry McLaurin, and so I have at number 16, even though he's coming off of a bad game. At number 17, I have Robert Woods, who's going up against the Patriots on Thursday night, which is tonight. And so I do think that could, he's probably going to be covered by Gilmore, and I think that could hurt him, but I do like Robert Woods this week anyways, and I think that they'll just use quick passes out of him like they always do, and he has gone for 10-plus targets the last 3 weeks, so I do think Robert Woods is a pretty solid play this week in fantasy. At number 18 this week, I have Robby Anderson, who's going up against the Broncos. I think the Broncos have a pretty good defense, but also I don't know if DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel are going to play. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. And if they don't, I think that Robby Anderson definitely is 18 worthy. But if they both play, I think he could drop down quite a bit. But still in the top 30. But I do think this is going to be a better matchup for Robby Anderson this week, because he's definitely their deep ball guy, and I like Robby Anderson this week. I have him at number 18. At number 19, I have Diontae Johnson versus the Bills. The Bills' pass defense isn't great, and he'll probably be covered by Tre'Davious White, which is their best corner. So this could be a tough matchup for Diontae Johnson, but I like his matchup anyways, even if he is being covered by Tre'Davious White, because he gets so many targets and they throw the ball a lot, and so I do think this could be a big week for Diontae Johnson, even if he's being covered by the top corner on that defense. At number 20, I have Mike Evans at versus the Vikings. Mike Evans is pretty solid. I mean, he's just a really big touchdown guy, and he had a week off, and so maybe him and Tom Brady got more chemistry, and I think that this could be, going forward, a really good thing for Mike Evans. I have him at number 20 this week. At number 21, I have Corey Davis at Jaguars. My bold prediction, if you want to go watch that video, it's 2 videos ago. Corey Davis was my bold prediction, and I do think that he will have another big week. He had a really big week last week, and if you want to know more facts, I said in my bold prediction on why I think Corey Davis would be a top 10 wide receiver this week on my bold prediction. At number 22, I have Amari Cooper at Bengals. Amari Cooper's been pretty solid the last couple of weeks with Andy Dalton, and so I do think that this could be another good game for Amari Cooper. And, I mean, the Bengals aren't a very good defense, so I do think that they might end up running the ball quite a bit more than they need to, the Bengals, or the Cowboys. So I do think that Amari Cooper might get played out of the game because they might be up by so much that it's going to hurt Amari Cooper's value. But I do think that, anyways, he scored a touchdown the last 2 games, so I do think he's pretty solid going forward. At number 23, I have Cooper Kupp versus Patriots, which is tonight. Like I was saying with Robert Woods, I mean, Robert Woods is going to get covered by Gilmore. The other outside corners, J.C. Jackson, and then their slot corner isn't as good. I mean, realistically, I think Cooper Kupp's got a pretty good matchup, but he just hasn't looked good the last couple weeks, and so I do think that that's going to hurt Cooper Kupp's value in fantasy. And so going up against the Patriots defense, I feel like they might try to take away Cooper Kupp's short passes stuff, and so I do think that could hurt Cooper Kupp this week. But I still have him at number 23. I still have faith. I think Cooper Kupp still should be in your lineup if you have him. I like Cooper Kupp this week. I have him at number 23. Number 24, I have DeVante Parker versus the Chiefs. DeVante Parker last week was amazing. And he might have to be amazing again this week. I mean, or 2 weeks ago he was amazing. Last week he didn't really do too much, actually. It was the other way around, sorry. DeVante Parker might have to do a lot this week, though. I just don't know if I trust the whole Tua thing. And so, right now I have DeVante Parker as my wide receiver 24. But, I don't know if I would recommend playing him with Tua at quarterback because I don't think that Tua looks for him deep down the field, and DeVante Parker is pretty good at deep down the field pass catching. At number 25, I have Brandin Cooks at Bears. Bears have a pretty tough defense, and so I think this could be a tough game for Brandin Cooks. But, I mean, last week Kiki Kuti looked pretty good, so I do think that this week might be Brandin Cooks' weeks, but I don't know for sure, obviously. And so right now I have Brandin Cooks at 25, but I do think that he's the best receiver in that offense. And so I'll probably move him up, but the Bears are a pretty tough defense. So right now I have Brandin Cooks at 25. At number 26, I have Chase Claypool at Bills. I do think that either White's going to be covering Diontae Johnson or Claypool. And I mean, Claypool gets a lot of targets and he gets deep targets. So I do think that Claypool has a lot of value in that offense. And with how much they throw the ball, Claypool is bound to get like 8 to 10 targets every game. And so if he turns that into like a 50-yard touchdown, then that's what it is. I think Chase Claypool is a pretty solid play every week. And I have him at number 26 this week. At number 27, I have DJ Chark versus the Titans. Titans don't have a very good pass defense. And so I do think this could be a really, really big week for DJ Chark. He didn't really do too much last week. He had 2 for 41. So I think this could be a really good bounce back week for DJ Chark. I'm at number 27. At number 28, I have JuJu Smith-Schuster at Bills. JuJu Smith-Schuster hasn't been amazing at like yards per catch, but he catches a lot of passes, and I think JuJu Smith-Schuster could have a pretty big week this week. I have him at number 28. At number 29, I have Deebo Samuel versus the Washington football team. Washington has a pretty good secondary, and so I do think that's going to hurt Deebo, but Deebo does so many things that like he carries the ball. They throw little like screens off to him. It's like Brandon Ayuk. I think that if I rate it down to like 33 or 32, I think that I would have Brandon Ayuk there as well. But I think this could be a good game for Deebo Samuel. He didn't look bad last week, so I do think that Deebo Samuel could have a good game this week. Again. At number 30, I have Antonio Brown versus the Vikings. Like I was saying with Mike Evans, maybe that him and Brady got chemistry. Well, maybe Antonio Brown and Tom Brady got chemistry. We don't know yet because they had a bye last week. So, I mean, I think that Antonio Brown could have a big week this week. I'm at number 30. It's just a guess on my part, obviously. I haven't really seen Antonio Brown do anything. This could be the first week he scores a touchdown in the NFL since being back in 2020, I guess I should say, because he scored a touchdown last year when he played a game for the Patriots. But I think this could be a big week for Antonio Brown. I have a number 30 this week. All right, so now the fun part. We get into the tight ends. And pretty much every week I'll have this guy at number 1. So actually, I know for a fact every week I'll have this guy at number 1. Travis Kelce at the Dolphins. Travis Kelce has been the tight end 1 this whole year. He's been a beast. I mean, in that offense, he's just so valuable to that team. So I do think that Travis Kelce will be tight end 1 again this week. Even though he wasn't last week because Darren Waller had 200 yards receiving, who is tight end 2 this week. I have Darren Waller at tight end 2 this week, going up against the Colts, who are best against tight ends, but I do think that Darren Waller is someone you just don't sit. He's coming off a 200-yard game, 13 for 200 and 2 touchdowns, so I do think that Darren Waller has a lot of value this week. And I have him at number 2. At number 3, for my tight ends, I have TJ Hockenson versus the Packers. Packers have been actually pretty good against tight ends this year, but TJ Hockenson, the first time they played him, had a pretty big day. And I think he could do that again. I think that he's going to have a pretty good day against Packers, but obviously, I do think that the Packers have a pretty good defense, so I think that TJ Hockenson is going to have to work for this. And also, if Kenny Golladay doesn't play, that's really going to help, or DeAndre Swift. I think that's really going to help TJ Hockenson's case. Higher chance for a touchdown, higher chance for more receiving yards without Golladay, so I do think that Hockenson could have a big week if Kenny Golladay does not play. At number 4, I have Robert Tonyan at Lions. Lions have not been very good against tight ends this year, and Robert Tonyan has been actually really solid the last couple of weeks, and Rodgers is really looking for him. And Sternberger got hurt last week, so I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Jay Sternberger on the field next week, or this week. I do think, though, that Robert Tonyan will have a really big week this week. At number 5, I have Rob Gronkowski versus the Vikings. So in my bold prediction, I said that I thought that Rob Gronkowski was going to finish as a top 5 tight end. And, I ranked him 5th because I think he's got a good matchup, and I do like him. And so I think that actually could happen. So I ranked Rob Gronkowski at number 5 this week. I think because I have faith in Rob Gronkowski, and so I rated him 5th this week. I think he's got a really good matchup. If I have Rob Gronkowski, I'm playing him in every lineup that I have. At number 6, I have Hunter Henry versus the Falcons. Falcons are one of the worst against pass catching tight ends, and so I do think that Hunter Henry could have a really big week this week, and he's been pretty solid. He gets you about, in full PPR, he gets you probably between 8 to 11 fantasy points every week, which is pretty solid. Not a whole lot of tight ends do that. At number 7, I have Eric Ebron at the Bills. Bills are really bad against tight ends, and Eric Ebron has been getting a lot of targets, and Ben Roethlisberger really likes throwing the ball to Eric Ebron. He dropped 4 passes last week, though, so I think this could be a better week for Eric Ebron. I think he's going to catch almost all of his passes, if not all of them, and so I think this could be a really big week for Eric Ebron. Last 2 weeks, he's gotten 13 and 12 targets, so I do think that this could be a really big week for Eric Ebron. At number 8, I have Dallas Goedert versus the Saints. Saints have a pretty good defense against tight ends, but Dallas Goedert, somebody you just don't sit, and he's definitely Carson Wentz's favorite offensive target, but I don't know what it's going to be like with Jalen Hurts, and so that's why I rated him down a little bit further, because I do think that having Jalen Hurts will hurt Dallas Goedert, his value, and so I do think that this could hurt a little bit, but I have Dallas Goedert at 8. At number 9, I have Mike Gesicki versus the Chiefs. Chiefs have not been very good against tight ends, and Mike Gesicki's been pretty solid this year. I do think that Tua really likes Mike Gesicki, and it showed because he had 9 for 88 and a touchdown or whatever. It was close to that. But Mike Gesicki's been pretty solid. I do think he's a good tight end, and so I have him at number 9 this week against the Chiefs, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball, and so this could be the first game where Tua throws over 35 passes, so I think this could be a good game for Mike Gesicki. At number 10, I have Evan Ingram versus the Cardinals. Cardinals have a pretty solid defense, but against tight ends, they're not amazing, and so I think this could be a really good game for Evan Ingram. And if Daniel Jones is back, like people are saying he might be, I do think this could be a really good game for Evan Ingram. At number 11, I have Noah Fant versus the Panthers. Panthers have a pretty solid defense, but I do think that Noah Fant is somebody, if you have him, he's probably your best tight end, and I have him ranked as a tight end 1 this week. He's number 11, so I do think that he could have a really good week this week. I do like that Drew Lock is back, so that's really going to help Noah Fant's value, I think, this week. I have him at number 11. At number 12, I have Logan Thomas, who's coming off of one of his best games, if not his best game of this season. And they're going up against the 49ers, who have a pretty good defense. And, Logan Thomas is the safety valve on that offense, and so I do think that that's really going to hurt him this week because I think the 49ers kind of know that now. And so having Logan Thomas is going to hurt in a way of he's going to probably catch a lot of passes again like he did last week, but I don't know if it's going to be as many as he had last week because the 49ers might be game planning for that. At number 13, I have Dalton Schultz at Bengals. Bengals have a horrible pass defense against tight ends, and so I do think that this could be a really good week for Dalton Schultz. And, Andy Dalton's looked pretty good since he's been back, and so I do think that this could be a big week for Dalton Schultz. I think they're going to try to get him involved this week in the offense. At number 14, I have Jordan Reed versus Washington, which is a little team. Washington has a pretty good defense against tight ends, but I do like Jordan Reed, and I think he's been pretty solid this year. And so I have Jordan Reed at 14. I think if you have him, he's pretty safe to play. And so I have Jordan Reed at 14 this week. At number 15, I have Hayden Hurst at Chargers. I think that Hayden Hurst is pretty solid, but the last couple weeks he hasn't looked great, and so I did move him down quite a bit. But it's a good matchup for Hayden Hurst, so I do think that he could definitely finish as a top 10 tight end. So I do think if you have him, he's a pretty good play still, but I ranked him down a little bit further just because of the matchup. I didn't like it very much, or because of how he's been performing. I like his matchup. just how he's been performing in the past, I do think that that's a good reason to move him down. And then also I just wanted to bring up that Mark Andrews, if he plays, he's definitely in my top 5 tight ends. But I didn't rank Mark Andrews because I don't know if he's going to play or not this week. But right now I would have him at tight end 5 instead of Rob Gronkowski, and I would move Gronk down 1 to 6 and then move everybody down 1. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.